Shelby County judge just stacked 50 extra years onto Justin Johnson's life sentence for killing young Dolph.
Man sentenced to life in prison for killing young Dolph gets 35 more years tacked onto his sentence, meaning Justin Johnson could be in his 70s before he's even considered for parole.
I didn't know that Dolph was loved like this. They've literally been Memphis for 3 straight years since young Dolph died. I've never seen some shit like this.
Young Dolph's death was one of those losses that shook the streets to their core. So much so that people were literally told to stay indoors because of how dangerous things got in the aftermath.
Tonight, we strongly encourage everyone to stay home if you do not have to be out.
Everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down and killed.
But the fallout didn't just stay outside. It followed his accused killers even behind bars. One of the men charged with Dolph's murder, Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, learned this the hard way, starting with how he got his face busted. Justin Johnson's troubles. Back in 2022, while locked up at Tennessee's Shelby County Jail, Johnson was reportedly making a phone call in the visitation area when another inmate walked up and punched him out of nowhere. TMZ reported the incident, and while his lawyer claimed there was no known motive, many believe it's obvious: his connection to Dolph's murder. Johnson was lucky to escape with no serious injuries, but that wouldn't be the last threat to his safety. Things got so tense that he and his lawyer ended up asking the judge to transfer him to another facility due to ongoing safety concerns. But Johnson's problems didn't end with jail fights. He's most likely never going to see freedom again. In 2024, he was convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Following the guilty verdict in September, he was immediately sentenced to life in prison for the murder charge.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder as charged in count 1 of the indictment. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder.
As to the first-degree murder, I sentence you to life in prison.
Then in October, his attorneys filed a motion asking the court to vacate the sentence and grant him a new trial. The motion argued that the evidence presented wasn't strong enough to prove first-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt. It also claimed the court made errors by allowing gruesome crime scene and autopsy photos into evidence and by denying Johnson's requests to sit at the counsel table during trial. Still, things only got worse for him. Johnson was later handed a 35-year sentence for the conspiracy charge and another 15 years for being a felon in possession of a firearm, stacking up to 50 additional years on top of his life sentence. Though 2 of those sentences will run concurrently, the message is clear: he's not getting out.
Man sentenced to life in prison for killing young Dolph gets 35 more years tacked onto his sentence, meaning Justin Johnson could be in his 70s before he's even considered for parole.
Before sentencing, the court heard a statement from Dolph's family. Part of it read, "To the one responsible for taking him from us, just know this. You may deny your actions, but the evidence speaks clearly. You showed yourself to be driven by jealousy and cowardice. You may have tried to take a man down for the sake of envy, but in the end have lost far more than you could ever gain. The world sees you now for what you are." Justin Johnson threw his entire life away. People can't help but reflect on how he was once trying to make it as a rapper as Straight Drop. Now, even if he came back in another life, it seems he'd still be stuck doing time, especially with the extra years piled on. And while it was rough for him behind bars, things on the outside got even uglier. Young Dolph. Because from the moment the news broke that Dolph had been killed, everyone knew things were about to get ugly. This wasn't just about losing a rapper, it was about Memphis losing one of its biggest heroes. And Memphis wasn't going to let that slide. Even the police knew what was coming. They issued warnings telling people to stay inside unless it was absolutely necessary to go out.
Tonight, we strongly encourage everyone to stay home if you do not have to be out.
Everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down and killed.
They understood that retaliation was inevitable, and they weren't wrong. Ever since Dolph was taken out, his people have been on a mission, spinning blocks and making sure that anyone even remotely connected to his murder felt the heat. Young Dolph was a beloved figure in his community, a philanthropist, and a proud advocate for his city. He put Memphis on his back and never stopped giving back.
It was good to the city, you know. It's good in the neighborhood, always give it back to this neighborhood, always give it back to his community.
Every year he made sure people in his city were taken care of, from handing out Thanksgiving turkeys to donating to schools and helping out individuals across the country.
He is known for giving back to his community here in Memphis. Every year he gave out turkeys for Thanksgiving through Memphis Athletic Ministries. In fact, he was set to have a turkey giveaway.
He was deeply involved with the Ida Mae Foundation, named after his grandmother, which focused on charitable initiatives in Memphis. When 2 baristas at Duke University got fired for playing his hit song, Get Paid, Dolph personally gave them $20,000 out of his own pocket.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they fired 2 workers from a coffee shop for bumping my in the store. Until y'all get y'all a new job, till y'all find y'all a new job, I got $20,000 for y'all right now.
Every year, he played Santa at Memphis's K97 radio station, handing out gifts to underprivileged kids. Even 2 days before his death, he was still giving back. He visited the West Cancer Center and Research Institute in Germantown to personally thank the staff for their hard work. That visit was deeply personal to him because his aunt was receiving treatment there, and both his grandmother and uncle had been treated at the same clinic in the past.
I decided to visit West Cancer Center, the clinic today, just to show my appreciation for like over the years. My aunt, she's currently here. Like, she has cancer. My grandmother had cancer. My uncle had cancer. And they all came through these doors. And I just wanted to show up.
Now, imagine all of that. A man who was a hero to a city, a man who inspired and gave so much, being taken away forever. The pain Memphis felt was unbearable, and what followed was a level of chaos the city had never seen before. In the month after Dolph's murder, Memphis turned into a war zone. Retaliation after retaliation shook the city to its core. At least 40 people were believed to have been killed in direct connection to Dolph's death, and Memphis quickly climbed the ranks to become one of the most dangerous cities in the country. But the real question is, just how many lives have been lost in the wake of young Dolph's death?
I didn't know that Dolph was loved like this. They've literally been Memphis for 3 straight years since young Dolph died. I've never seen some shit like this.
Derion D. Money Childs, the first person to face the consequences of young Dolph's murder, was a clear message to anyone remotely involved, whether they pulled the trigger, played a role behind the scenes, or even just knew the wrong people. One of the earliest casualties was comedian Derion D. Money Childs, who made the fatal mistake of joking about Dolph's death online. He must have thought it was just internet talk, something that would blow over in a few days, but in Memphis, the streets don't forget, and they definitely don't forgive. Just a week after his post, Childs was shot and killed. His death sent a chilling message. This wasn't just rap beef.
It's this video of Derion Childs that captivated the hearts of millions. Now, years later, many are talking about how the Memphis comedian died days after making remarks about young Dolph on social media.
Big Nuski. Childs' murder was just the beginning. As the months went on, more and more people connected to Dolph's murder started dropping like flies. The next high-profile target was Big Nuski, a rapper signed to Moneybagg Yo and the cousin of Big 30. In January 2022, Nuski was gunned down outside the New Horizon River Apartments on Kazaza Road. It was around 7 p.m. when the shots rang out, and when the smoke cleared, the 26-year-old rapper was dead.
Now, what we do know right now is that police are reporting that one male victim was shot here on this scene. Now, again, the victim did not survive his injuries. The victim is 26 years old. The victim who's pronounced dead is 26 years old.
But this wasn't just some random act of violence. The streets quickly started buzzing with rumors that Nuski had ties to Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, one of the main suspects in Dolph's killing. It didn't take long for people to dig up old photos showing Nuski and Straight Drop posing in front of the same car, fueling speculation that there was more to his death than met the eye. Some believed it was another calculated hit in the name of revenge. As the bodies continued to drop, a pattern started emerging. Most of the people being targeted had one thing in common. They were allegedly linked to CMG and Yo Gotti, whether directly or through street affiliations, CEO Teezy. But their ties went beyond the music industry. Many of them were also connected to the infamous Memphis gang, Trula Mafia. One of the biggest names on that list was Joshua Taylor, aka CEO Teezy, a high-ranking member of Trula Mafia and someone who had been on the police radar for his alleged involvement in Dolph's murder. Teezy's time was running out. On June 14, 2023, police were called to Spotswood Avenue near Bunton Street around 12:56 p.m. after reports of a man down. When they arrived, they found Taylor's lifeless body inside a car riddled with gunshot wounds. police. According to reports, he had actually been shot the night before, but his body wasn't discovered until the next afternoon near a church. His death marked yet another name crossed off the list in this ongoing war.
Lifeless in a car near a church around 1 p.m.
Vitalis Taylor, also known as CEO Teezy, was found shot to death in Orange Mound Wednesday at Spotswood and Bunton. Those who live nearby tell us Taylor was actually shot the night before, discovered lifeless.
And just when people thought the violence might slow down, another shocking murder made it clear that no one was safe. Lotta Desto. On September 24th, 2022, up-and-coming female rapper Lotta Desto, whose real name was Destiny Golden, was shot and killed in what many believe to be another act of retribution for young Dolph. Desto was with a female friend in the 5500 block of Richmond Avenue around 2:40 a.m. when she pulled up behind a dark-colored four-door vehicle at a traffic light. Before she even knew what was happening, two shooters emerged from the car and opened fire, hitting her multiple times. She died at the scene while her friend was seriously injured but survived. At first, people were shocked. Why would someone go after Lotta Desto? She wasn't even directly tied to Dolph's murder. But then, a major plot twist came to light. Turns out, her father was none other than Hernandez Govan, the man accused of orchestrating the entire hit on young Dolph.
Govan asked for young Dolph to be murdered.
Mr. Govan has been indicted and is in custody for being involved in the young Dolph. He played the role of the person who solicited.
After Govan's arrest, he went online and made a cryptic post, seemingly hinting that his own actions might have played a role in his daughter's death. It was a brutal reality. Desto had been caught in the crossfire of her father's choices. If there was any doubt that Dolph's people were moving with calculated precision, this murder erased it. Tomanuel Benson. And they weren't done yet. The next major hit came on August 18, 2023. The Memphis Police Department responded to a shooting at a BP gas station on South Parkway East around 9:30 a.m. When they arrived, they found a man lying on the ground with a fatal gunshot wound. That man was Tomanuel Benson, Black Youngsta's own brother. The shooter didn't even try to hide their face. They walked up in broad daylight and handled business, making it clear that they weren't worried about being caught. The police even had a clear image of the suspect, which they quickly released to the public, along with a $5,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest.
And the MPD fugitive team in the area of Crichton Avenue. He was wanted on second-degree murder charges for the shooting in August of Tomanuel Benson, the brother of Memphis rapper Black Youngsta.
Tomanuel's murder sent shockwaves through the city, but to many, it wasn't surprising. Black Youngsta has been one of young Dolph's most vocal enemies. Back in 2017, Black Youngsta was arrested in connection with an attempt on Dolph's life, where over 100 rounds were fired at his bulletproof SUV. Though he beat the charges, the bad blood between him and Dolph never went away. For years, Black Youngsta taunted Dolph at every opportunity, from diss tracks to Instagram posts. Now, the same war he had been a part of had come knocking at his own front door. Losing his brother to the same cycle of violence he once glorified was a painful reality he now had to face. Big Jook. Gotti might have thought he was untouchable in this whole war, but Dolph's crew had other plans. While most of the people connected to Dolph's murder were already facing the consequences, Gotti had managed to avoid any direct retaliation, at least for a while. But as time went on, it became clear that PRE wasn't going to let him off the hook that easily. They had already hit plenty of people in a circle, and it seemed like they were working their way up the chain. The message was simple. If you had anything to do with Dolph's murder, you were going to feel the heat. And they almost made Gotti himself feel it in the worst way. They even went after his family. His mother, of all people, was reportedly a target. Luckily, she managed to escape, but his brother, Big Jook, wasn't so fortunate. The irony of Big Jook's death is what made it even more chilling. He wasn't out in the streets, at a club, or even one of his usual hangout spots. He was at a funeral, paying respects to a loved one. But in the world of straight politics, there's no such thing as a safe space. When it's your time, it's your time. According to reports, Jook and Gotti were both at the funeral service for their relative, OG Eric Bolden. A video clip shared by YouTube journalist Seti Nash showed them at the service standing by the casket. But what most people didn't notice at the time was that there were two men lurking in the back of the church, watching Big Jook's every move. They were waiting for the perfect opportunity, and they found it at the repass after the service. Gotti didn't attend the repass. If he had, things might have gone down even worse. But Big Jook did. As Jook got into his vehicle outside Perignon's restaurant and event center on Winchester Road, the shooters made their move. Some say Yo Gotti's mother was in the car with him, but that didn't stop the hit from going down. The moment Jook sat down, bullets started flying. The car was sprayed up, and while Gotti's mom somehow managed to escape, Big Jook wasn't so lucky. He was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. He didn't make it. Surveillance footage later caught a white SUV with no plates speeding away from the scene.
Tonight, police are looking for a white Ford Explorer SUV in connection with the shooting. It has dark tinted windows and black wheels. A witness told police they saw suspects in the SUV speeding away.
It was clear this was a targeted hit, and everyone knew exactly why. See, Big Jook wasn't just Yo Gotti's brother. He was also one of the loudest people mocking Dolph after his murder. He taunted Dolph's artists, flaunted his money, and basically made it clear that he had no remorse for what happened. At one point, he was even caught on video disrespecting a Dolph mural, proving just how deep the beef was. But what really tied him to Dolph's death was his connections. PRE artist Grove Hero had already gone online after Dolph was killed, putting Jook on blast. He claimed Jook was the one who put up the $40,000 bounty to have Dolph taken out. Grove Hero even said that if he ever ran into Jook, it would be on sight. And now, with Jook's death, people couldn't help but connect the dots.
Bro, I'm not no shake ass bro. Ain't no finna tell me a nigga put $40,000 on my head and I'm finna do this. Bro, anybody that associate with you, and this ain't got nothing to do with them other folks, bro. It's Jook, and Gotti really ain't got nothing to do with this shit. But Jook is his brother. It's Jook, it's Migo, it's Youngster. These the folks that got something to do with this shit, dog.
Even before this, Jook was known to be around some key figures who were linked to Dolph's assassination. He was seen on video hanging out with CEO Teezy, one of the guys reportedly involved in Dolph's murder. On top of that, he had pictures with Hernandez Govan, the man authorities believe orchestrated the whole thing. With ties like that, it was only a matter of time before the streets came for him. Yo Gotti. And with every major hit, one name kept coming up. Yo Gotti. And apparently the law might be closing in on him too. Recently, Whack 100 stirred up the conversation even more by predicting that Yo Gotti could be next on the Fed's list. He even went as far as advising Gotti to start saying his prayers.
That Yo Gotti, say your prayers. You better say your prayers.
Whack speculated that if the feds decide to go after Gotti, they might label CMG or Collective Music Group as a gang, just like they did with YSL in Atlanta.
But wouldn't it be smart to blame it on the dead man, though?
No, he was part of the company. They saying CMG, they're going to classify it as a gang. They're going to try to target.
He also pointed out that prosecutors could bring up the 2017 attempt on Dolph's life when over 100 bullets were sprayed into his SUV in Charlotte, North Carolina, and tie it to CMG, framing it as a part of an ongoing gang war.
Let's do the math. CMG and PRE shooting at the back in the Carolinas. Motherfuckers doing songs, shot the Sprinter 100 times, bulletproof. They're gonna take it and paint the perfect movie. These two things are game.
Whack's comments referenced key testimony from Cornelius Smith, one of Young Dolph's killers, during the recent trial of co-defendant Justin Johnson. While on the witness stand, Smith made a shocking revelation. He testified that he and Johnson carried out the hit on Dolph in November 2021 to collect an $100,000 bounty allegedly put up by Yo Gotti's brother, Big Jook. Smith said he was promised a $40,000 cut for his role in the murder, but ended up with just $800 before he was arrested in early 2022. However, he also dropped another bombshell. He claimed that an unnamed person from CMG later paid $50,000 to retain a lawyer for him after he was charged. If these claims hold up, Yo Gotti could be in some serious trouble. But some people believe the streets might get to him before the law does. They're saying that the slide for Dolph is still in motion and could reach him even in Dallas.